They say music can't change a prison, can't soften concrete, can't melt steel bars, can't reach the hearts of men who've long forgotten how to feel. But that night, something happened. Inside the state correctional facility's visiting room, where cheap fluorescent lights buzzed and guards stood like statues in gray, a teenage girl in a threadbare sweater stepped forward. No microphone, no stage, just a folding chair and a borrowed guitar. The inmates sat in rows, some yawning, some stone-faced. One woman in the front kept her eyes fixed on the floor, twisting a napkin between her fingers. And in the back of the room, leaning against the wall with arms folded tight, stood the warden, Mr. Harden. The man they said didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't listen. He was only there because policy required it. The girl cleared her throat. I'm not really supposed to be here, she whispered. But someone I love is. She took a shaky breath, then began to play. The first note wobbled, the second steadied, and by the third, the room had changed. Something in the air bent, like a thread being pulled between memory and mercy. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was clear, tender, true. A song about a kitchen light left on, about waiting for someone who might never come home, about love that doesn't know how to stop. And as the last chord hung in the silence, Mr. Harden, the man who never lingered, took 2 slow steps forward, then one more. He didn't speak, didn't smile, didn't clap. He simply removed his cap and bowed his head, as if the prison itself had just remembered what it meant to feel human. Before she ever sang to prisoners, before she walked into a room of locked doors and silent eyes, Lily Harper was just the girl who sat on the kitchen floor. Her mother called it the warmest place in the house. Right in front of the oven, where the heat leaked gently onto the tile, and the only light came from a frayed string of fairy bulbs tacked to the cabinet. They didn't have much, just an old fridge that wheezed, one good saucepan, and a hand-me-down toaster that sparked when you used it too fast. But they had each other and music, not the kind you buy. Not the kind that plays through fancy speakers. The kind you hum while folding laundry. The kind you make with 2 spoons and an empty pot. The kind that slips into your bones when the world outside is too cold to face. Her mom sang when the rent was late, when the food ran out. When Lily cried after school because the other girls had ballet shoes and she had duct-tape sneakers, her mother didn't believe in silence. She believed in lullabies, in kitchen songs, in making noise, even if no one was listening. But one night, everything went quiet. A knock, a shout, a man yelling through their door. He was drunk, the neighbor down the hall, angry about something Lily never understood. He tried the handle, then the lock, then the threats. Lily's mother told her to hide in the closet and not come out until the sirens stopped. By the time they did, she was in handcuffs. They said it was assault, but Lily knew it was self-defense. A pan to the head, a shove, a scream. She didn't want to hurt him. She just wanted to keep her daughter safe. The next morning, Lily woke up alone. Her mother was gone. No note, just silence and a broken mug on the floor. The court called it temporary detention pending investigation, but all Lily heard was, "You can't see her without permission." So she waited. She moved in with her aunt, a woman with cold eyes and a colder home. There were no fairy lights, no singing, just rules and sighs and sentences that ended with, "Don't ask." At school, Lily didn't speak. At lunch, she sat alone. Her name wasn't on any sign-up sheets anymore. Only once a week, for exactly 15 minutes, did her world come alive again. When she took the long bus to the county correctional center, walked through security, and sat across from her, mother through a wall of glass. They couldn't hug, they couldn't laugh. But sometimes when the guards weren't looking, her mother would tap softly on the glass, and Lily would hum back, just loud enough for the music to find its way through. It started with a flyer, printed in black and white, taped crooked on the plexiglass window of the prison visitation booth. Holiday Family Talent Showcase, December 23rd. Volunteers welcome. Limited slots. Ask Chaplain Murrow. Lily read it once. Then again, she didn't ask her mother. She didn't ask her aunt. She just wrote her name on the bottom corner of the flyer with a borrowed pencil. Lily Harper. Vocals. Chaplain Murrow found her after her next visit. He was tall, with soft wrinkles and a voice like rustling paper. "You sure you want to do this, sweetheart?" he asked. "It's not like singing at school." She nodded. "I don't want a microphone," she said. "I just want her to hear. Turi without the glass this time." He looked at her a long while, then smiled. "We'll make space." But not everyone agreed. 2 days later, a letter came to her school. It was written on Department of Corrections letterhead, crisp and clinical. Permission granted for Miss Lily Harper to attend the Decanra 23 family showcase under supervision. However, inmate Harper has expressed discomfort with the event and may opt not to attend. Furthermore, the warden reserves the right to cancel the performance at any time. The warden. Lily had heard about him. Mr. Harden, the man with ice in his eyes and policy for a spine. He didn't like performances, didn't like emotional disruption. He believed prisons should be places of structure, not sentiment, but Chaplain Murrow had pushed. "Sometimes a locked room doesn't need a key," he had told the warden. "Just a voice." The night before the show, Lily sat on the floor beside her aunt's unused fireplace, holding a guitar she'd borrowed from the school's music room. It had 2 missing strings and a crack in the body, but it still sang, just enough. She plucked one soft note, then another. Then the words came, uninvited but welcome. She didn't rehearse, she just whispered the same thing to herself over and over like a prayer no one taught her. Don't try to impress, just let her know you're still here. The next morning, she walked through steel gates, no makeup, no fanfare, just a trembling heart, a threadbare sweater, and a song. The visiting room smelled like overcooked coffee and floor wax. A folding table with a red plastic cloth sat crooked in the center. Paper snowflakes dangled from the vents, spinning slowly every time someone walked past. It wasn't a stage, but it was enough. Lily stood by the wall, clutching her guitar with both hands. Her fingers ached, partly from the cold, partly from holding too tight. She could see her breath when she exhaled. The women in the audience shuffled in, inmates in state-issued beige. Some looked curious, some looked bored, and at the very back, flanked by 2 guards in bulletproof vests, sat her mother, eyes down, hands folded, as if ashamed to even be there. Lily wanted to call out, wanted to wave, but she didn't. Instead, she stepped forward when Chaplain Murrow called her name. He gave her a soft nod, then walked away, leaving her alone. No one clapped. There was no applause to expect, just silence. She took a shaky breath and plucked the first chord. It buzzed, slightly off key, but she didn't stop. The second chord settled, the third hummed true, and then she began to sing. Her voice was small at first, not timid, just real. Like a diary entry you weren't supposed to read. The song wasn't one she learned from any book. She wrote it in her head, between school hallways and prison visits. It was called Same Sky, and it went like this. "We sleep under the same sky, Mama, even when I can't see your face. I still leave the porch light on, still fold your name into grace." The lyrics weren't polished. The melody bent like soft clay. But the words, they landed. A woman in the second row lowered her head and closed her eyes. Another shifted in her seat, arms crossed tight, trying not to feel anything. And in the back, Lily's mother finally looked up, eyes wide, tears already waiting. Lips pressed shut to keep from trembling. Halfway through the second verse, someone moved. It was the warden, Mr. Harden. Broad shoulders, stone face, clipboard in hand. He had been standing near the exit, checking the clock. Now, he stopped and turned. He didn't blink, didn't speak, he just listened. The last verse came slower, barely above a whisper. "When the gates are gone someday, and the keys don't live between us, I'll still know how to find you. Because your voice is in my song. Lily let the final chord hang, not rushed, not proud, just finished. No one clapped. They just sat there, breathing, even the guards, even the walls, even Mr. Harden, who slowly removed his cap and lowered his head. Not because someone told him to, but because something inside him had remembered what it meant to be human. 2 days after the performance, the school office called Lily down. She thought it was a mistake. She hadn't done anything wrong, or anything at all. But when she stepped into the main office, the secretary handed her a cream envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, formal. Miss Lily Harper is cordially invited to return to the State Correctional Facility on December 24th for the annual Christmas Eve candlelight service. Warden Harden has personally approved her musical participation. Clearance has been expedited. She read it twice, then stared at the signature at the bottom. You, Harden. She walked home slowly that day, holding the letter like it might disappear if she moved too fast. Her aunt didn't ask where she'd been, but when Lily showed her the letter, she frowned. "Are you sure this is safe?" she asked. "You don't owe them anything." Lily didn't answer. That night, Sarah, the girl, who used to sit next to her in choir, messaged out of nowhere. "Saw the video, someone filmed it, you okay?" "Didn't know it was filmed." "You going back?" "Maybe." "It was beautiful, but weird, right? Singing for them?" Lily stared at the blinking cursor, then put the phone down. Without replying, even the music teacher pulled her aside in the hallway. "I heard you're singing in a prison again?" Lily nodded. He hesitated. "You know, there are plenty of safer places to perform. We have a winter showcase coming up. You could audition." She looked at him. He smiled like someone offering a rope to a person who's already on solid ground. But it didn't feel like kindness. It felt like rescue from something that wasn't drowning. That night, Lily sat by the window with her guitar across her lap. The candle in the kitchen flickered against the glass. Her mother's voice echoed faintly in memory. "Don't sing to be heard, sing to be understood." And yet, the doubts began to hum inside her ribs. Did they invite her back? Because her voice moved them? Or because her story did? Was she a singer or a symbol? She looked at the envelope again, and then down at her hands, small, calloused, real. Whatever they saw in her didn't matter. What mattered was the song, and someone who still waited to hear it, even from behind glass. The whispers started small, a hallway giggle, a side-eye glance, a phone screen passed from hand to hand with a smirk. At first, Lily didn't know what they were laughing at. Then she saw it, a clip on social media, grainy, edited. Someone had filmed her singing at the prison showcase, but not the song, not the moment, just her face, just the words, "Prison girl goes full drama." Overlaid text read, "She sings for criminals now?" Next stop, jail tour 2024. Hundreds of views. Dozens of comments, some curious, most cruel. At school, someone taped a drawing to her locker. A stick figure in handcuffs holding a microphone. Underneath, Lily Harper, inmate of the month. She didn't rip it down. She didn't cry. She just stood there staring. Like if she looked at it long enough, maybe it would stop being about her, but it didn't. The next day, she skipped music class. Mr. Ruiz, her teacher, didn't ask why. He simply handed the solo to someone else. Sarah tried to talk to her at lunch, but Lily walked past her, tray untouched. Even the guitar in her room, the one she used to cradle like a friend, sat untouched in its case. The strings slightly out of tune, like they had forgotten her. Then the letter came, from her mother. It was short, 4 lines. "They say you're coming back. Please don't. I don't want you associated with this place. It's not your world. It's mine. No love. No, I miss you. Just walls. The same kind that kept them apart, now being built by her mother's own hand." That night, Lily sat on the floor beside the cold fireplace. No candles, no music, only the sound of the wind tapping against the window like a question with no answer. She opened her guitar case, then shut it again. She thought maybe she had imagined it all. The stillness in the room, the bowed head of the warden, the flicker in her mother's eyes. Maybe it hadn't meant anything. Maybe she was foolish to believe it ever had. She turned off the light and let the silence close in, just like the cell her mother now asked her to stay away from. 3 days before Christmas Eve, someone knocked on the school music room door. Lily had stopped going to class, but she still lingered in the halls after hours, like a shadow too stubborn to disappear. Mr. Ruiz peeked into the hallway, and there, standing with a knit cap and a worn envelope in his hand, was Chaplain Murrow. He hadn't shaved. His coat looked too thin for December, but his eyes were warm. He asked to see Lily. She hesitated, part fear, part shame, but she followed him into the storage room, where the guitar slept on hooks like quiet witnesses. He handed her the envelope. "It's from someone inside," he said. "One of the inmates." Lily blinked. "For me?" He nodded. "She heard you sing," said. It felt like sunlight under the door. Inside the envelope was a single sheet of music, handwritten, crinkled at the edges. Notes in pencil, lyrics, messy but careful. It wasn't polished, it wasn't professional, but it was real. The title read, "Silent Walls." The lyrics, "They built these walls to keep us still, to hold the noise we carry in. But your voice broke through the steel and found the girl I used to be again." Lily read it once, then again, and something moved in her chest. Not anger, not fear, something quieter, like the sound of her mother's footsteps on the tile floor. At midnight, Chaplain Murrow said softly, "She wanted you to sing it at the Christmas Eve service. She said she wrote it for you even though you've never met." Lily shook her head. "I can't. My mom doesn't want me to come back. No," he said. "She thinks I'm better off staying away." "She might be right," he said gently. "But maybe it's not about being better off. Maybe it's about being present for those who can't be." That night, Lily didn't sleep. She stayed up, plucking each note, matching it to her breath. Learning the weight of someone else's story and carrying it like her own. By dawn, she still hadn't made a decision, but the melody wouldn't leave her alone. It kept singing itself back into her hands. The snow was falling in soft sheets the night Lily walked through the prison gates for the second time. She wore the same sweater, carried the same guitar, but something inside her was different. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't trying to prove anything. She was just answering a voice. The Christmas Eve candlelight service was held in the chapel wing, a room more forgotten than feared. The pews were metal, the candles battery-operated. But someone had taped red ribbon around the podium, and near the altar there was a folding chair and a single microphone, unplugged. Chaplain Murrow stood at the front, smiling as she entered. He said nothing, just nodded toward the chair. Lily sat, adjusted her guitar, took a breath, and began to play. The chords of Silent Walls rose like breath in cold air, slow, uncertain, beautiful. Her voice was quieter than before, not broken, just listening, to the space, to the silence, to the room full of women holding too much. She sang the verses like they belonged to everyone and no one, like they had always been there, just waiting for someone to find them. And when she reached the chorus, "But your voice broke through the steel and found the girl I used to be again," a sound came from the back row, a sharp inhale, then a sob. Lily didn't look. She didn't need to, because when she finished and the last chord echoed off the cement walls, no one moved. Not a guard, not an inmate, not even Mr. Harden, who stood in the back again, cap in hand, head lowered, eyes wet. And then something happened that no one had planned. One by one, the women stood, not ordered, not clapped, just stood, in silence. And Lily stood with them, because for the first time in that room, No one was on a stage. They were all simply seen. Lily didn't expect applause, and she didn't get any. Not because they didn't want to give it, but because no one wanted to break what had just happened. Some moments don't need to be louder, they just need to linger. She stepped down, from the front with her guitar still in hand, unsure what came next, but someone reached for her sleeve. A woman, maybe 40, maybe 60, eyes swollen, hands shaking. "You don't know me," she said, voice hoarse. "But I wrote that song." Lily froze. The woman smiled through tears. "I never thought I'd hear it out loud." They didn't hug. They just stood there, holding each other's gaze. One had lived the pain. The other had carried it into the world. Later that night, as the service ended and the chapel emptied, Lily waited near the exit for Chaplain Murrow. But instead, Mr. Harden approached, his footsteps slow but certain. He still held his cap in his hands. "You came back," he said. Lily nodded. "I had to." He looked at her guitar, then back at her. "There's a lot we don't allow in this place," he said. "Phones, letters, voices." He paused. "But I'll be filing a recommendation to make the Christmas Eve showcase a tradition, if you're willing to return next year." Lily blinked. "Me? You or someone you teach?" She tilted her head. "Teach?" He looked her straight in the eye. "Your voice didn't just reach them, Miss Harper. It opened them. You showed us what most of us forgot to believe in, that something soft can still matter." Then, slowly, awkwardly, he extended his hand. She took it, and for a moment neither spoke. Because some respect doesn't need words. That night before leaving, Lily sat on the same folding chair. The chapel was empty now, the candles still flickering, tired and warm. She strummed a single chord and sang just one line. Not for anyone, just for herself. "I was never singing to be heard. I was singing so you'd remember how to listen. And now, they did." It was almost midnight when Lily got off the bus. Snow crunched beneath her shoes as she walked the final 2 blocks home. Her guitar case heavy in one hand, the silence of the chapel still echoing in her bones. The porch light at her aunt's house was off, but the window to the kitchen was glowing. She stepped in quietly, not expecting anyone to be awake. But there, sitting at the table, wrapped in a borrowed coat and clutching a paper cup of tea, was her mother. Tired, pale, free. Lily stopped in the doorway. Neither of them moved for a second. Just breathing, just seeing. Her mother's eyes filled first. "I told them I wanted to be released by Christmas," she whispered. "They said, someone made a call, said I had a daughter who sings for strangers." Lily stepped forward. She set the guitar down, pulled out a chair, sat, no fanfare, no speech. Then quietly, Lily reached for the guitar and placed it gently on the table between them, and began to hum, just like old times. No words, no audience, only warmth, only a kitchen light, only home. Her mother leaned in, eyes wet. "I heard you," she said softly. "Through everything, I heard you." Lily didn't answer. She didn't need to, because the silence between them wasn't empty anymore. It was full of songs that never had to be sung again. Because once you've been truly heard, you don't have to raise your voice to matter. The next morning the snow was deeper, but someone had lit the porch light, and from outside, if you listened closely through the frost-touched window, you could hear it. A girl with a guitar, a mother, with her hand on her heart, and the kind of music that doesn't need permission anymore, just love. If this story stayed with you, let it sing a little longer. Share your thoughts, and we read every word. And if you believe one voice can change everything, don't forget to subscribe.